Hi everybody. In this video I'm going to share with you what the assignment is for next week in our Comms 101 class. And I'm going to show you how to do what you're going to need to be able to do for that assignment. We're going to be working with Microsoft Word, and we're going to use some basic features in Microsoft Word to be able to format a document to make it look a certain way. You're going to be doing this all the time in your college courses. You're going to have to type a lot of papers. Sometimes you're going to have to insert images or graphics or charts. And you need to know how to work with the page to make it look a certain way and include all of the things that you need to include. So the first thing you're going to want to do for this assignment is download this Hawkwatch PDF, and you're going to want to just take a look at what the formatting of this looks like, because your final document has to look exactly like this one. So notice that the title is centered and is in a really big font. This text is in a really small font. Notice that the sides of the page, the margins are really small. You're going to have to format that. And also notice that this picture has text that wraps around it, but also gives it a little bit of space. So those are all things that you're going to want to consider as you do this assignment. You're going to have to be able to do all of those things in Microsoft Word. Now I'm going to go back and open up the actual Microsoft Word document that you're going to be using as part of this assignment. You're going to be required to format that document to look like the PDF. When I open this Microsoft Word document, I'm going to click it to download it. I'm going to click to open it, and you'll see it opens in Microsoft Word, but I can't actually do anything to the document yet. I can click in it and highlight things, but I can't make the changes that I need to make. In order to do that, I'm going to need to go up to the top and click Enable Editing, and then it unlocks the document so I can make changes to it. The other thing I want to point out is if you're ever just trying to get to Word from the main screen on a PC, all you need to do is go down to this lower left bar and type in Word, and Microsoft Word should appear there. Now, there's a couple of things that are going to be helpful for you. First off, it's going to be really helpful if I can see the PDF that I need to make this look like at the same time as I see this document. So I'm going to go up here to this button to restore the size of the screen so it's not full screen. I'm going to click that, and that's going to allow me to adjust the size of the screen by clicking and dragging the edges to however big I want it to be. I'm going to make it take up about half of the screen space on my computer. And then I'm going to go to the PDF file. I'm just going to re-download that and open it here. I'm also going to do the same thing with that file. I'm going to click that Restore Down button, and then I'm going to drag it over so it takes up the other half of the space on my computer screen. It's helpful to see both side by side so that I can work in either of them, but now I see what this final document has to look like. The other thing that I'm going to do right away, I'm going to show you something that's a feature in Microsoft Word that's not turned on by default, but I always turn it on, so it always shows up as on my page. And that's if I click on View up here in these tabs, you'll see there's several tabs at the top of Microsoft Word. The View tab gives me a bunch of options related to what I see on my screen. This area is called the ribbon, where you'll find all of the options for the tab that you have selected. So in the View tab, I always make sure that I select the ruler to turn the ruler on around the outside of the page. The ruler not only helps you with lining things up so that they're uniform and even, but it also gives you access to certain options that you just don't have access to until you open the ruler. Things like margin settings and tab settings that you can set just by clicking and dragging things on the ruler. We are not going to be working with any of those this week on this assignment, but it is helpful to have the ruler open so you can see how things line up. The first thing I'm going to need to do according to my assignment in the second bullet point, the first bullet point just said to open both documents. The second bullet point, it says I'm going to need to be able to adjust the headline font size and also center it, and I'm going to have to be able to change the font type as well to Verdana. To do that, I need to find the appropriate tab where those instructions are. And a lot of the basic things that you'll change in a Word document are located in the Home tab. So if I click on that tab, I will see there is a place where I can change font type. I can change the font size to the nearest half a point. It will accept 11.5. It will not accept 11.2. So I can change the font size. Also, I have options for adding bullets if I need them, numbers if I need them. I can also adjust the alignment of text on my page right here, where I can center it or right align it. There's a lot of other options on this page too, just related to basic things you might use. Over here I have my copy paste options from the clipboard. I could change the color of font. I could also change the color of the highlighting behind font. I can put certain text effects in my fonts. Here's where you can make things subscripts or superscripts. There's lots of different options for you to play around with. These three are oftentimes used in documents that you'll type up for classes or in bibliographies. You can make font bold, italic, or underlined. And if there's ever anything that you do to font that you don't like let's say that I take this font or this text on the page, I have to highlight it to make change to that text. I'm going to put highlighting in the background. I'm going to make it bold and italic. Let's just underline it for good measure too. I'm also going to change the font size to 8 point. See, actually, as I was clicking there, it deselected the font that I had selected, so I need to go back and redo all of that. Notice I made all sorts of changes to that font, and it looks ugly. I don't like it at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight the affected area, and if I click up here on this eraser icon, it'll actually clear all of the formatting that I just applied to that text. Now, unfortunately, it just de-applied the formatting that was set for this document, so it looks very basic. And the other thing you may notice, it didn't get rid of my highlighting. Highlighting is sort of a special feature. In order to get rid of it, I have to go back and click no color here. What if I want to make that text look like the other text on the page again? What I can do is I can click over here on a section of text. I'm going to have to make my screen bigger for this so that option appears. But I can take a section of text that's formatted like I want it to be, click on this Format Painter, and now whatever I highlight next with the Format Painter is going to be made to look like the section of text that I'm painting from. So notice it took my text for that first section and made it look like the second line again, just like it did before. One other thing, let's say that I accidentally, as I'm working, I accidentally type the letter J and just delete all of that text that was there, the first bullet point. What in the world do I do now to get that back? To undo a mistake, there's two things that you can do. The first is just click this back button in the upper left-hand corner of the Word program, undo typing, and it will put that text back the way that it was. The other thing I can do is just press Control-Z. Control-Z does the same thing. It's the hotkey to do that. So now you know where to find the options to make the text a different point size, change the font, and change the alignment on the page. The next thing you're going to need to be able to do is change the margins, and that's found in the Layout tab. Here again are a bunch of things that you're probably going to use eventually. One of them is margin options that you can set around the outside of your page. Now, these margins, you may find the settings in one of the predetermined default settings here. You may have to go to Custom Margins, and when you click on that, it brings up a screen that allows you to set whatever margins you want. I'm going to actually click these custom. I clicked Custom Margins here, which will allow me to set a predetermined custom margin, but actually what I'm going to do is click the Custom Margins menu at the bottom. And that brings up the menu where I can change the margins to whatever I want on all four sides of the page. Make sure that you set the margins according to what the instructions say. Now, I personally, and you won't do it for this assignment, but I always recommend leaving a left margin of 1 inch. The reason I do that is in case anybody prints and 3-hole punches your page, they're not going to 3-hole punch through the text. I suppose that's probably becoming a little outdated because people don't print things as much anymore, but I always leave my left margin a little bigger in case that ever happens to my page. All right, so now you know how to do that basic step. The last thing you're going to need to know how to do is work with this picture on the page, because you're going to need to be able to wrap text around it. One neat thing that you're able to do in Microsoft Word is if you double click a picture, it brings up a special formatting tab and the ribbon associated with that tab that allows you to do all sorts of cool things to that picture. You could apply some special border formatting to it to make it look different. Now, sometimes I do this with pictures, but I never use anything too over the top because it just makes your page look ugly. If I use this, oftentimes I use the option to blur the edges of the picture so that it fits in better with the rest of your document. Another feature that you might use in Format are these recoloring features. I oftentimes as a teacher would use the option to remove the background so I could just show a picture of something in the foreground that I could use in a presentation that I was giving. You might find that useful. There's also options to color correct, although these don't work like you might hope. Like you can't just change the color of Professor Heinz's shirt in this picture. You have to actually recolor the entire picture all at once. One thing that I find useful is that you can sometimes set a transparent color and get rid of one color from your entire picture. That kind of does the same thing as removing the background, except it just removes one color. But there's all sorts of different color options, so you can make this look a little bit different. You just have to choose what's best for what you're looking for in your document. The one that you're going to be using the most, the one that you need for this assignment, is that you need to be able to wrap the text around this picture. And that's way over here on the right. In wrap text, you have several different options. The ones that I usually use are square, which pretends like the picture has a margin around it and then makes the text go squarely around the picture. Tight, which is just a little different than square. Actually, the way that tight works is if your picture isn't a perfect square, if it's oddly shaped, it will wrap the text so the text goes right up against your picture. It still gives it a little bit of a margin, but it just makes it look nice around images that aren't perfect squares. Then there's also options so that you can put your picture behind the text or in front of the text, and you can just drag it wherever you want on the page. I oftentimes will use those as well because they make it really handy to work with your pictures. So those are the basic things that you need to be able to do in order to make this document look like the document in the PDF. You are going to be required to delete these instructions from the top so that your article fits on one page and make it look as much like the PDF as you possibly can. Please feel free to email me with any questions that you have. This assignment is one that seems easy, and for some people who have worked with word processors a lot, this is going to be easy. But please don't feel disheartened if things don't work well right away. Feel free to ask for help if you need it. Thanks a lot for your attention. God bless your day.